Hello, my name is Dr. Matt Knudsen, and I direct the academic program in esports at the University of North Dakota. And today I'm recording a video in which I'm playing in the Magic the Gathering Arena Direct event. It's a digital client for Magic, and this event is special in that if you get 7 wins before you get 2 losses, then Wizards of the Coast will mail you a physical box of cards. In this case, it's collector boosters for the most recent set, Edge of Eternities. This box is retailing for about $400 right now, so something to play for. I'm currently 5 wins into this event, and fortunately have no losses. So I'm recording this this video to play the next 2 to 3 games, 2 minimum and 3 maximum. This is the deck that I'm playing. It is a low to the ground black-white kind of go wide deck featuring a couple copies of this double striker and a way to kind of cheat it into play with this ancient tomb, so I can kind of get ahead on mana with that ancient tomb, and that's one way that I have been able to sneak under my opponents. Why am I talking about Magic the Gathering? Well, as I mentioned, I teach classes on esports, and my definition of esports is organized video game play for stakes and spectacle, meaning that there's something at stake. In mainstream esports, you have professional careers at stake. People can earn a full-time living and earn prize money into the 7 digits at the highest level of play. And there's something worth watching. There's a spectacle. Magic has something that's at stake here in terms of these, prizes that you can win within the game. There's also a professional community for Magic and a professional history, and there's something worth spectating in that there's viewership for Magic. But Magic is something that I would call a peripheral esport. It's on the outside of mainstream esports like League of Legends and Call of Duty. Future me is going to take this recording and talk a little bit more about Magic and esports. I'm not going to try to do that while I'm playing, so I'm going to go off camera. Future me is going to say a bit more about this while I play out my games. And fingers crossed, maybe I'll see you on the other side of this video with another couple wins if I'm lucky. So I'm going to turn off the mic and go off camera. Wish me luck. All right, so as I was saying a moment ago, Magic as a competitive game is something like a peripheral esport. Let me back up and talk about the competitive history of Magic as past me is kind of playing out these games. So Magic the Gathering was released as a tabletop card game, collectible card game, in 1993. And it was never designed to be the smashing success that it turned out to be. It took off amazingly well in the first few years of its existence, outselling all of its creators' expectations. And by 1996, Wizards of the Coast, the publisher for Magic, decided to start what they were calling a pro tour, a professional scene for Magic. So the greatest competitors in the game could play in the pro tour and win prizes. By 2005, the most notable competitor in the Pro Tour, Kai Buda, had won in excess of $300,000, something like $349,000 by 2005. And so there were people who were making a living at this game, astonishingly. And the Pro Tour continued long after that. Eventually, it had a Hall of Fame in the aughts, the first decade of the 2000s. And so tabletop Magic the Gathering is going strong during this time. The game again is taking off so well. And Magic releases a online client, Magic Online, in 2002. And this is when we get a very close simulation of tabletop Magic, very close to the traditional experience. But Magic Online is kind of a spreadsheet, so to speak, in terms of how visually appealing that game is. And we don't get a aesthetically appealing version of Magic until Duels of the Planeswalkers in 2009, but that's really just a single-player game. You can't play networked multiplayer the way that you can for Magic Online. So Magic Online is humming along past Duels of the Planeswalkers in 2009, and eventually Wizards decides to completely revamp the experience of online Magic in a different program called Magic Arena, MTG Arena, in 2019. That's the game client that I'm playing in this video. And it is a much more sleek, much more appealing version of Magic that finds an audience. And eventually Wizards starts making these arena directs, among other forms of online competition for Magic. So this arena direct is one way for people to get a competitive experience in Magic that is both accessible and has something worth playing for. And so this arena direct that I'm competing in and trying to win a box, like, this is something that you can just log in. Any player can log in and buy some gems. You spend real world money to get this online currency, and can use these gems to convert them through your winnings into real US dollars. Here I'm closing out this game. Fortunately took the first game that I needed, and so now I'm advancing to 6-0, and I just need to win one more to win this box, and I have one loss to give. Well, with the release of Magic Arena in 2019, Wizards chooses to do all sorts of changes to the competitive environment of Magic. They announced this commitment to esports. So we had tabletop Magic, we'd had digital Magic, but all the top competitive events for Magic were all done on tabletop. They weren't trying to run everything as a digital competition. And that changes in 2019 when Wizards announced, hey, we're going to do esports now. We're getting into esports, and basically they try to model themselves after League of Legends and create this spectator esport that would appeal on, they seem to hope, the scale of a League of Legends. Well, The subsequent happenings and the back and forth decisions that Wizards makes with Magic and esports is something that I write about in a piece of scholarship that was published in a scholarly collection, Beyond the Deck, Critical Essays on Magic the Gathering, in 2023. I have an essay here about, in this collection, about the professional history of Magic. And so I conducted all these player interviews with then pros, including players who were in the Magic Pro League. So Wizards created this Magic Pro League where for the top 32 players of the game, Wizards gave basically paid them to play. They had a stable income to be pro players of the game, and it was a league that had some promise, but it only lasted for 2 years. It ran from 2019 to 2021, and I'm interviewing these players in 2020 about their experiences with the game. And I have this set of interviews with the players in the midst of the Magic Pro League, as well as interviews with previous employees of Wizards. And later, after the announcement about the Magic Pro League being sunsetted comes out, I speak with these players again, many of them again, and am able to capture their unvarnished opinions about what has become of competitive Magic. And, certainly for many of them, the biggest concern is like, why didn't the esports model work for Magic the Gathering? Why was this sunset? It had this competitive aspect to it since the start of the Pro Tour in 1996 until its discontinuation in 2019. And it didn't get into esports before Hearthstone did in 2014, but then it committed to esports in 2019, but why didn't it work? And the players that I interviewed said things like they were made to play in quote-unquote dead formats that were close to the end of rotation for their respective games. Respective formats. Magic has a yearly release calendar in which formats are only legal for so long, and then they are replaced by the new cards in the new set. And these players were made to play in formats that were intrinsically uninteresting. The formats also, as a result, had decreased viewership, in part, presumably, because these formats were not the most intrinsically interesting, but also in part because there was less of an aspirational quality to Pro Magic, that players prior to the MPL found a way forward to get into the Pro Tour, and the systems in which players could play their way onto the Magic Pro League became quite opaque by 2019. There was less of an aspirational opportunity for players to get there. The other problem is an intrinsic problem with Magic. Now, when you're looking at this interface, you're seeing all of these cards, their art, in the interface, and it's not until you hover your mouse over an individual card that you actually read the rules texts on the cards. And it's just, it's a very complex game with a lot of text, and if you don't know what the cards are, then it's going to be quite hard to follow the game. And it was not designed for simplicity or streamability that uh, this is a tabletop game that was designed in 1993. If Wizards was trying to make this a streamable, watchable game from the beginning, first of all, there wasn't any such thing as um, Twitch streaming at this time, so it's an anachronistic expectation. But if they were trying to make Magic streamable as a spectator esport, then they would have made entirely different design choices about how to structure the game. Um, the other issue with Magic as a streaming object is that it's just not that enjoyable to see a spectacular play in Magic. A spectacular play is a subtle thing that even the commentators can miss. It's not like League of Legends, where you have these champions that get into team fights and everyone's using their alts, and there's this spectacle of animations, characters dying, and all sorts of crazy stuff going on the screen. This loss that I'm having right here is not particularly spectacular, although it may be exhilarating for the opponent. And the decision that I was mulling over just a moment ago in the game was whether or not I should have attacked with everything. I gave that a long think about whether I was going to attack with everything and what my opponent might have left on top of their deck, because I knew that they knew the top card. Um, and it's more golf than it is American football. If League of Legends is like American football, then with its full contact and exhilarating plays, then Magic Arena, Magic the Gathering, is more of a subdued viewer experience a la golf. And the other criticism of Wizards in the esports era was that maybe WotC didn't quite capitalize on its big opportunities. There were opportunities for Wizards of the Coast to really sell the game based on exciting results that it didn't necessarily take advantage of. So, where has Magic gone to since the sunsetting of the MPL? Well, it went to the physical Pro Tour. It's back to tabletop competition. And it has these arena directs like this and arena opens. The Pro Tour is back, but it's different than it used to be. And believe it or not, this game is wrapping up. So I'm going to wrap up here and let you see the end of this undisturbed with from my words. I appreciate you being here and taking a look, and thank you so much. All right, I was not expecting that. So my opponent mulliganed in that game, and so it was like turn one, Gene Pollinator, turn three, Diplomatic Relations, turn four, Might Form Harmonizer. So I'm guessing they had like three more lands in hand, because I don't think they would just quit if they didn't think if that if they didn't have information in hand that would have really influenced that decision. Like they probably had a land drop there, and they could swing for 8 with the harmonizer, uh, but they probably just have I don't know, like it's hard. Like the harmonizer can really catch up. Maybe they figured like I would definitely block with the dual Sun of Depths, and then they've got nothing, and I've got a grip of like 5 possible spells in hand. It's not that I showed them. Well, you know what? Because turn 4 I played the dual Sun of Depths, and it auto passed, meaning that I had no lands in hand. So they knew that I had five spells. So maybe that's what they're thinking. Like I would definitely block with the adepts, and then they're in trouble. Like, or they could leave the harmonizer back, and then what's it doing? Like blocking the 2/3 and hoping that I don't have any tricks. So kind of unexpected result there. Um, I've had plenty of runs in this event where I didn't have very good luck down the stretch. And I think the same thing might have happened to my opponent there, that they had to mulligan and then they didn't draw out of their mulligan and then they just conceded maybe a little prematurely. Maybe the next card could have caught them back up. But I can't do anything about that. That's a win. That's a collector booster box of Edge of Eternities. I hope that this was entertaining and edifying for you, or at least one of the other. Thanks very much, and appreciate you watching. And I will see you next time. Thank you.